Is there such a thing as ethical prostitution? There are sex workers specifically for people with disabilities and trauma. They don't usually call themselves sex workers, but according to the law they are sex workers in my home country Germany. I think it is ethical in such cases to perform sexual acts with people who have special sexual needs. A sex worker did an AMA on Reddit and she said most of the time it's enjoyable and she has one client she really enjoys sex with. That changed my view on prostitution because for her she was being paid to do something she enjoyed rather than something she was just putting up with in order to pay the bills. I get it can be horrible, but if women are in the position where they can say no, then I think it changes the dynamics. It already exists in various countries. The only thing preventing it from being ethical in the USA is the old fuckers in power, not regulating it as a profession with all the protections needed to make sex work safe for everyone. The Christofascists believe there can be no sex before marriage and inflict their beliefs on society. Let's say you have a coworker called Dave and one time after a few drinks you were both walking home in the same direction because Dave lives 2 blocks away from you and Dave said that he will give you a blowjob for 50 and you agreed because it's been months since that bitch Susan left you in, so you and Dave hid in the park and he did it. It's not wrong, right? It's not like anyone was hurt, right? Throwaway for obvious reasons. In the UK where our laws are odd. Lots of types of prostitution are illegal but many aren't. For example, you can't run a brothel and you can't solicit for business. However, the actual payment for sex is entirely legal and there are sites where you can contact those advertising for work. I've been to see a sex worker a few times over the last 12 months since a breakup as I miss the intimacy, along with the sex. I see a woman who is 36, has 2 children and is a nurse at the local hospital. She's only doing it to pay off her mortgage early and to pay for renovations. We actually chat about our home lives and I've given her advice about her energy bills as I work in the industry. I have the money, she has an amazing sex drive and is really quite lovely. She's also from my hometown, so there's no trafficking involved etc. and we're both really discreet. I know that many sex workers aren't in that sort of position however. People in here wringing their hands over redefinition of consent. I consent to work a job. I don't want to do it. But I still do because I need to pay bills and working is the easiest way for me to do that. I still consent. Big difference between consent and want. Women who choose to do sex work do so for various reasons it fits around their lifestyle. They have a high sex drive. They can pick and choose their hours and customers. They have 100% control over their work. It's still work, and they are still paying bills, but they may choose to do it over working in a supermarket or behind a desk or whatever. They still made the choice and it is therefore consensual. Yes, I know there are a lot of people in this world who don't have that choice, as in they are feeding a habit, or they are in a situation where it is pushed upon them, or threatened etc., and this is non-consensual. But these situations should not stop those who are in very different conditions to make their own choices. I would rather see women have full control over their own domain and be safe and happy than be forced to work under the radar with the risks it brings. Of course there is. Of course. 1. Start by replacing the term prostitution with sex work. Not for semantics, but to illustrate we're talking about a job. 2. Define ethical in this context. If you mean something along the lines as out of free will, then yes, clearly there are plenty of sex workers in their profession out of free will. A better question might be, what are the signs somebody is not doing it out of free will? It is fine and regulated all over the world. It is not in USA for political reasons, they won't get by votes for that, etc. Any voluntary exchange of goods and services is ethical, with the exception of when it's done specifically to harm another. Hiring a gardener is ethical, hiring hitmen is not. If 2 adults consent, it's ethical. Any prostitution in which the woman isn't forced into it is ethical, and there's plenty of that happening. Sure, SW is legal here and I made a bunch of money as a side hustle, for people with cuckolding kinks mostly, but a few women who just wanted a specific service of some kind. The way I see it, it gives people a safe way to explore that stuff without having to involve some random from a bar or online. No, women are not property to be sold and bought. It is exploitation. Men are sick in the head. Is it ethical to control the private sexual behavior of consenting adults? Yes, any prostitution that doesn't involve coercion is ethical. Making it illegal just endangers women and protects abusive men. Trafficking. IMO, there is no ethical form of prostitution, ever. Once money enters the scenario, consent is no longer relevant because there will always be women who do not have another option because they need the money to live. And that's not a price I'm willing to pay. Red light district. I think there is principally nothing wrong with it, and it's also not illegal where I live.